I tried Linux, wasn't satisfied, switched back to Windows. I used to spend many hours on virtual machine trying different distros, testing different stuff, and I thought that I'm ready to fully switch to Linux. A month ago I built my new PC completely on AMD hardware, with the thought in mind that I'm gonna switch to Linux permanently. Of course, the system installation process was quick and easy, but after that a lot of problems started coming out. TLDR on Linux, in order to install an app or a game, I normally would spend around an hour to do so. On Windows, on the other hand, to do the same, I would spend 3 minutes. That's it. I lasted only a week on Linux. And keep in mind that I used Linux Mint as my distro of choice. It is promoted as the easiest Linux distro and a distro that just works. Well, it doesn't, at least for me. I'm gonna give several examples from my experience. As I have already said, I used Linux for around a week, and in a whole week I didn't succeed in setting up my system completely as it was on my previous PC. Just for a reference, once I switched back to Windows, I finished setting up my system in 3 days. On Linux, I would spend basically all day, every day on my PC trying to download apps and games, figure out settings, watching guides and so on, only then to realize that it's just a huge time sink. For example, Discord. Some of its features just don't work on Linux. So instead of downloading Discord itself, you can download a client for Discord that is better supported on Linux. And the keyword is better supported on Linux, since even clients that were made for Linux still don't support some features, or they support them, but they are still not very stable. As for the games, some games are straight up not supported on Linux, there is no way you can install them. So you're forced to dual boot Windows with Linux or just have a separate PC with Windows. As for the games that are supported on Linux, sometimes it is still a pain in the ass. If a game is on Steam and is supported on Linux, then you sigh with relief and install the game as you would on Windows. However, even if some games are supported on Linux and Steam, they still might not work as well as they would on Windows. If a game is supported on Linux and it is not on Steam, then again, it makes things harder. Even though the game might be supported on Linux and there are thousands of guides on how to install it, I would often run into some problem that will take 1 or 2 hours of fixing, then to just give up and rage quit without succeeding in fixing it. Also, I had a problem with Brave browser. For some reason there was a fully transparent line between the search box and tabs through which I could see my desktop. It doesn't ruin anything, but it was just bugging me the whole time. And the word on fonts on Linux. For some reason they are kind of blurry or pixelated. I tried switching to different fonts, tried different font settings, ran some commands in the terminal, but I still could not fix that problem. And again, I spent like an hour and a half on trying to fix the problem, which in the end I couldn't fix. Time sink. There was also a problem with parting my hard drive. On Windows, I could easily part my disk into, for example, disk C and disk D, and they would work as completely separate disks. You can kind of do the same on Linux, but it works very wonky and weird. Not only I had to dance around my PC, pray and chant some spells just to part my disk, in the end it ended up working very bad. Almost all apps did not see the different partition I made, I myself was struggling to find it in the file manager, and some games or apps just didn't want to be installed on that partition, so it was kind of useless. So after all this, I just felt like I put myself in a wheelchair. At first it looked comfy, you don't need to walk, you just ride with a light breeze in your face, but once you try it, you realize that walking is much more convenient. It was so refreshing for me when I switched back to Windows and I just could Google some app, click install button, and it just installed on my PC. This is a magical feeling. I've heard that a lot of people say that Linux is very good for productivity, especially if you utilize things like Window Manager, but for me it turned out to be complete bullshit. On Windows you get things done much faster. Linux feels raw. It's not finished, and the year 2025 unfortunately is not a year for Linux, as many people claim it to be. However, I'm still passionate about Linux, I'm still checking the news and waiting for it to be better.